Welcome to The Pack, your gateway to the world of Patricia Briggs and the Mercyverse, where shifters, vamps, and fae rule. Magic hums just beneath the surface, and danger is always one heartbeat away. Now, let's run with the pack. Here are your hosts.
I always feel like that's my stomach that's growling there, that growl. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg.
I'm Linda.
I'm Hasna.
And Linda is in Canada. Hasna is in the UK. And I are in where am I?
In the Mercyverse.
In the
Smack
Mercyverse.
dab in the middle.
That's right. I'm in Tri-Cities, Washington State. It's a lot of fun. Hey, we have some fun to talk about this time around. We are going to be discussing a little book called Moon Called. And Hasna, you were talking about this before we jumped in. This was like, is this the one? Is this the book?
Yeah, it's the book that sets everything off. It basically introduces the world, the characters, the different factions. It's also the plot that still has tendrils throughout this series where things are playing out.
I find it a fascinating book because, like you said, it ties everything together in the entire Mercyverse. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Before we get going, I wanted to give a quick shout out to all the folks that have jumped onto Patreon and have either joined as a free level to be able to follow and see what's going on. To all those that have joined in the multiple levels, I appreciate that. We're going to do a little shout out to that and take a message for me, Hasna, would you? It's my agent calling. They always find me. It's a big thanks. It's a big thanks to everybody for jumping on to Patreon. We appreciate that, and we're going to talk more about that.
And everybody who's jumped into Discord to say hi and have a quick conversation. So that's been fun.
It's been a lot of fun to connect with the folks out there. And if you haven't joined Discord and have found us, be sure and do that. If you haven't been to Patreon, be sure and jump over there and find us, and we'll be happy to connect with you. Now, which one of you guys is going to talk about the new book coming out? Is that you, Linda?
Yeah, I'll just have a quick conversation about
okay.
Blind Date with a Werewolf, which is out on October the 21st. So it's coming up really soon. So those of you who don't know, it's basically a novel in stories. So it's the 3 previous short stories of Aseel, so that have been published in anthologies. So the Patty has kind of reworked them, and then she's added 2 new stories to just flesh it out into a novel, and it's pretty fantastic. So I think people are going to be pretty thrilled when they get to read it, and
Gonna love it. Yeah.
This one we don't want to give spoilers to because it'll be coming up soon, and a lot of people won't get to read it right away. But yeah, I think when people actually do get the chance to read it, they'll be pretty excited about it. Even if you have read the 3 stories before it, I mean, they are subtly different and worked into the whole narrative of what the actual novel is. So
I'm a little upset. I'm going to have to call Patty and say, hey, I haven't read it yet. So I don't know what you're talking about at this point, but that's okay. I'll read it with everybody else.
You should call her.
Yeah, I would give her a call.
I will. Yeah. I'll just drop by the farm and say, hey, So the book is coming out October 21st. It'll be in all the outlets, and that is a little bit later on this month, since this episode drops in October. Speaking of which, Hasna, while Linda and you were off messing with your microphone there for a minute, is the weather changing in London at all? Is it becoming fall?
Yeah, the grey doom has arrived. It's been raining on and off. There has been some sun, but yeah, the winter is coming. Literally,
You have that feel.
It's just dank and damp.
Yeah.
Yeah. welcome to the UK. Although like the weather could switch, right? One minute it could be like sunny, and the next minute it could be like raining, and it then switches back. It's you know that's the UK.
It's definitely changing. Autumn is here, and in fact, I believe autumn dropped on Monday, September 21st. I think is on 22nd. Was the official date of autumn, which gets me in the mood to read. And I've started some new books that are more in that seasonal kind of feel. I mean, they're more witchy feel. It's more Halloween kind of feel, and not that Moon Called is set in that in any way, shape, or form, but I'm in the mood to reread Moon Called again. And let me throw this to you guys, since we are talking about Moon Called. Is there one character in the book that maybe you equate to more than another? Hasna.
Oh, I think it has to be Mercy because she basically introduces the world to the reader. And even though she grew up in a wolf pack and she is the center of like all the other different supernatural factions and creatures, she's very much the outsider. So you're like reading from her perspective because in some ways, even though she's enmeshed into that world, she's very much like the outsider. So you're like yourself, like as the reader, you're the outsider. So you're learning through her eyes, even though she can be unreliable in terms of her knowledge of like what she thinks is true may not turn out to be true, or it's different, or something like that. So yeah, it has to be Mercy, I think, because she's more relatable.
Linda, what about you?
Yeah, I think for me, for this whole series, I've never really kind of related to a character more than Mercy. So it's like, I think that, sometimes as series go on, secondary characters become people's like favorites, and they look forward to those moments with them. But I don't know, I've always wanted to see how Mercy's story carries on, even though I do have characters that I want to know more about. But it's like, in the end, it's always been, Mercy for me. So
Well, it's her story. It's
yeah.
her journey. It all these other characters come and go. I don't know. Adam in Moon Called, I didn't like. I honestly didn't like
Really?
Adam. Yeah, in Moon Called. I thought Adam was an arrogant SOB that
I love that about
yeah, well, that's so Adams is just this hyper confident kind of guy. And the only part about Adam that you will find later on that he is not hyper confident about is Mercy. And there was just something about in the first book, the way he was introduced as being this guy over the fence that Mercy was always trying to piss off with her, beat up car, that I didn't like him until about halfway or so through the book. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm actually starting to understand this guy. So I don't know if there's any one character in the book that I equate to. Maybe this is going to throw a monkey wrench at you. I think I equate more to Ben than anybody.
Ben in Moon Called,
Ben in
or
Moon Called.
Ben in further on in the series, though.
Ben in Moon Called, for being this creepy kind of, voyeuristic kind of
Greg.
ass.
I don't know what this.
Yeah, he was
I don't know what
great.
this says about you, Greg.
I don't either. Mainly because I think he's intrigued by Mercy, and at the same time, maybe he's just really unsure. What does that say?
If you reread the, no, I
Shocked.
try to understand what you mean. Yeah, I can understand if you reread the book, you can see like little hints. Like I said, remember when I said about like the body language and how like certain things are left, are that's unsaid. That there's elements of like vulnerability. I think where there's a scene in Moon Called where he, there's like where he's kind of hurt, and he shouldn't be like, if he was such a creep, he shouldn't have that hurt look expression on his face, and it's just like blinkers and blink or you missed it kind of thing. So I can totally understand what you mean, but that's the thing about Patty. Her characters are just so fully fleshed out. Even like the total a-holes. Like I avoid this proper swearing there, but uh, they have like they feel real. They and the thing about Adam, like I like the fact that he has certain vulnerabilities and he's not like perfect, because that's relatable, and I know some people don't like Adam or they don't like Samuel because they're like, oh, they're out, as there's a romance term called the alpha holes again. And they both kind of like fit that type, but the fact that he has vulnerabilities and weaknesses, that makes him more relatable, and he feels more real. Like Mercy's she's not perfect, so the fact if you have a character that doesn't have flaws, then you're basically creating a Mary Sue kind of type, or or Gary Stu, where they're not interesting, they're boring, and it's like it makes the story flat. And the fact that he has vulnerabilities, it's not just about his insecurities about Mercy, it's also about his insecurity about being a werewolf, because like many others, they didn't choose to change, they were like forced change. He woke up one day, what he viewed as being a monster, plus all his issues of being a Vietnam vet, and that he carries that weight into his soul. And you see that later in the series, specifically in the future book, and he has to work on that, because it again shows like what is a monster, what kind of monster, and it's like how that is portrayed in the books, because there's different types of monsters. They're like, you've got the type of villains where they have a reason where they became this monster for a reason, and there's like others where they view themselves as being a monster because they can't control these primal urges, where they lose control once a month. So
okay, so that's an interesting point I need to bring up, Has, when we talk about characters who have chosen to become werewolves over those who have been changed against their will.
Yeah.
So we know that in Aspen Creek in October, they have the change ceremony where characters have chosen to attempt to become werewolves. And it's never really talked about, but I think that Jerry Wallace is a character who who chose to become a werewolf. And so he's got a very much different attitude towards being a werewolf than I think a lot of the other characters in Moon Cult.
Yeah, he was ruthless, like because he wanted to save his father, which is totally understandable. But his father, he wasn't suited to be a werewolf, even though he became one.
I think that's a whole conversation in of itself.
It is,
Linda. It's
because
but I will jump back to Ben, because I adore Ben. So not to yank your chain or anything.
Thank you. I'm glad you adore Ben.
But you see, kind of for me that
we all love Ben.
Yeah, that switch where he's a snarky British guy who just kind of in the end saves Mercy to her surprise. So I always like that turning point. But for me, Adam, as soon as Mercy read the note that he wrote to her about Medea, about he'll eat her if he sees her again, but then Mercy's like, oh, obviously he had her, was petting her and playing with her for a bit before he did that. So I don't know, it's like I just, Adam's a favorite of mine. So
Well,
Same here.
and I
Yeah.
think Adam gets that way over the course of the stories. And I think it depends on how Patty writes the book as to how I feel about any of the given characters. Adam, sometimes I really like Adam, sometimes I really don't like Adam. And that goes to people. There's people
Yeah.
that I work with and have worked with over the years. There's times when I just absolutely love that person. And then, a week later, they're going through something and they are dark. And I don't want to be around them at all. And I think that's something that Patty does well in the books.
yeah, and it's interesting to get a different perspective on it. But yeah, I'm in an echo chamber of people who love Adam.
No, I'm part of the echo chamber as well. No, but he's like I said, it's not just Adam. There's other characters who do certain things where you like, I don't like you right now. Like, what are you doing? But then, um, in a book, there'll be something. Oh, you become to like them, or there's another facet about their character where it's like, oh, it's it. That's the thing. It makes it real. It doesn't make them like one dimensional. Like, oh, this is a bad guy with the evil laugh. It's just like fleshed out characters, and it makes it interesting. I'm gonna kind of like mention Christy, which is like one of the most unlikable characters ever. Like, I could describe her like nails with a chalkboard, but like, or she's not even Marmite, where there's this like this spread in the UK where you either love it or hate it. Everyone just hates her. So, but she's a really good, interesting foil in terms of like she brings out the drama, but sometimes it's just too much. But I think that's some people like that in real life. There is people like that in real life, but you just can't even handle it. So it's not just always characters where like a different part of their personality or their action in another book shines through. Like Leah, I did not like her from the get-go because you see her through Mercy's eyes, but as like in a recent book in Alpha Amigo series, you like, oh, that explains a lot why she's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we really understand her a lot better, and I think that a lot of people have come to appreciate her character, where I don't think Christy will ever hit that point. So she's always universally disliked.
She is always going to be Marmite.
Yes, she will always be Marmite in this universe.
Like, Marmite, like, but no, the thing, even with Marmite, some people do like Marmite, even though it's disgusting. People do like Marmite. So, but I don't know. I just there's certain characters when I think there's even people where you just do not like them. They're just like so obtuse or so insufferable, and they're so into themselves where it's like it's true. And I do know certain people like that in real life. So,
but
it's not to say that they're horrible.
But I think in Mooncalled we don't see any character like that. Any character that's so despicable.
No. Yeah. No, even like Marsilia, where she's really antagonistic towards Mercy. There's, I do kind of like her because it's almost like she's just waking up through her stupor, and you can see elements of her coming through, which is really interesting. So, and you don't know whether she's going to be like a villain or an ally. At that point, there's like so many characters that were introduced in Mooncalled. You don't know who is the good guy, who's the bad guy, or who are like kind of like in the middle. So, and it's interesting to see that Mercy, who assumes all these things before, and now is like, I don't know what I'm doing. She's pretty lost, and those events have all these repercussions throughout the entire series.
One of the aspects of the entire series, but mainly with Mooncalled, is the flirtation that starts between Mercy and Adam, and isn't realized until a few books later, because Mercy goes through this entire arc of loves in her life, and the flirtation. I found the flirtation fascinating between these two people because, again, as I have said, I didn't care for Adam at the beginning. Neither does Mercy. Mercy thinks Adam is exactly what.
No, I
You
don't.
don't agree?
I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me why.
Yeah, I think that this flirtation, as you say, isn't established here in Mooncalled. I think it's as we see flashbacks in later on books after Adam's divorce, is that they're tiptoeing around each other. So what I don't really see this as any type of antagonistic or she thinks he's an asshole. I think that they're well on their way to starting a relationship. I think they're in the kind of beginnings of forming,
Like
the flirtation part of of dating. So I think it's been well established prior to this, and I think it's a dance that the two of them enjoy. So it's so she's tweaking him, he's tweaking her, so it's just kind of a playful back and forth. To me, that's my impression from reading the book. I have to defend my man. Have to defend him.
Recently, the thing is, right, you got to understand, he claimed her as a mate just before, I think just before the events of Mooncall, to protect her from the pack. Now, he's an alpha. He could basically say, hey, stop it, because she's an important figure in Brown's life. You don't want to mess with her. He didn't have to do that. He was basically staking his claim. So, and another thing is that they're both gun shy. She had issues with Samuel because, and she's got abandonment issues as well. Like her birth mother abandoned her. She was kicked out of Brown's pack. She's always felt like an outsider. Samuel basically, when she had a relationship with Samuel as a teenager, she was a teenager. And she was manipulated. And she said she has trust issues. So does Adam because of his ex-wife, who's toxic. And she's put so much guilt and self-hate into him because, like I said before, he views himself as a monster. So she's basically, you're a monster and all that. So it's so they're both dancing around that they both are into each other because there's sparks, there's chemistry, but at the same time, they're basically gun shy, but it's there. And I think sooner or later, it would have happened, I think. Even if the events with Mooncall didn't happen, I think something would have happened. But the events in Mooncall basically was instigated that that relationship between them.
I have to give Patty praise. I don't always give Patty praise, but I do have to give Patty praise for creating a book that had so many fingers that reached out into other books. I mean, she basically crafted this so that she could take basically any one of those characters from Stefan to Adam to Christy. I mean, Christy could have her own book. I wouldn't probably read it, but I think she could pretty much take any one of those characters, and she has. She has with the Alpha and Omega series. She's basically taken off and gone with those particular characters.
Yeah.
Uncle Mike needs his own story. Complete a seal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we see the Master of Milan, Bonarata.
Oh,
He's mentioned, and then you see the build up through the series of this mysterious master vampire, and then those threads that tug on that throughout, and then we have the books nearer to the end of where we are now that really build up that character, and he's introduced, I think, in a way that surprised me. But then I think where we are now, he's more like I imagined him in Moon Called.
Yeah. But it's almost like a facade of him. He plays all these different roles. And like, it's very kind of like, because the vampires are very manipulative, and they've got these like elaborate schemes and plans in place. And it all plays out in a way where you think, oh, that makes sense now. Like, oh, it's like in advance. And it's a very kind of like long-term Byzantine kind of style, where it's like Machiavellian in a way. Yeah,
Oh,
Mac.
poor Mac.
Now,
Yeah.
Mac. I know. See, that's the thing. It's like, even like a character like Mac was introduced early on, like his death hurt me when I read the book. It's like, no. And even then, I kind of like miss him because he made an impact. So even a character that disappears in like several scenes, it's like, you wish that he survived because he was such an interesting character. And even like the character, she was mentioned in Bloodbound, although she appears in several of the books and in the short story, the teenage werewolf. Even like a mention, sometimes it's like these characters, they just come alive. And the thing about this world is a huge cast of characters. You just lose count in some ways, but they are very, very memorable, and they do stand out. So I love the fact that Asil is getting like short stories in novel form, because he is such an amazing character. I love him. He's so funny, charismatic. It's you could. I just love it. I just love the fact that so we're excited because like seriously, he's one of the standout characters for me in the series, and I'm so glad because it's sometimes even Sherwood Post. He appears later on in the latter half of the series. When he appeared on screen, like, oh, he was a side character, and now he's become one of the major side characters in the book. So there's no throwaway character where it's like, who's this? Oh, the kind of events that it's like literally there's a tapestry and threads throughout the series from Moon Called onwards, where it all ties in together. Like I remember Patty saying, it's like going into the mist. The thing is, when you emerge from the mist, everything is interconnected. It reminds me of a scene in the books where Mercy's in this dream world where she has all these pact bonds. I think it's similar to that. It all ties in, and she's the central piece, or one of the central piece characters where she's the center of all of this. So it's interesting to see how all of this will play out.
Well, if you haven't picked up a copy of Moon Called, I have been sharing it with people, co-workers at my local movie theater where I spend a few days a week. And I find it fascinating to see these people and how they take to the book. So if you haven't picked up a copy and you haven't started with the Mercyverse, with Moon Called, by all means. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here because most of the people who've joined us are all the way through the series. I think we had one comment was made when I said that I still haven't finished the entire series. They were like, "What? Who is this guy? Why is he here?"
Yeah, but one thing I think, if you're looking for me for like the spookiest, October book to read in the Mercyverse, that's always Bloodbound for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I was going to say that as well.
So
Bloodbound is like one of the creepiest books.
Yeah, so that's a good spooky one to sit down in October to have a reread of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I wanted to give a quick shout out to everybody with the Patreon, the folks that have joined with the different levels of Patreon. If you haven't jumped over to the Patreon yet and checked that out, we have 4 different levels that you're more than welcome to jump. Actually 5 if you consider the free level. There's the $1 a month pup level. There's just $3 a month pack level, $5 alpha, and $7 walker. I think just about everybody has jumped on board at either 5 or 7. And quick shout outs to Maria, Martini, Jordan, Kendra, Heather, Elena, Amy, Jenny, and Tibby. Is there a Tibby? I'll just leave it like that. Thanks to all of you for jumping on board and becoming a part of the pack. We appreciate that very much. Again, go to patreon.com, and I think it's / the Pack Podcast or something like that. So you can check that out. Again, a Seal book coming out October 21st. Is this hardback or
Yes.
paperback?
It's hardback.
It's hardback.
Yeah. And then a year after that is usually when the paperback comes out.
Okay. All right.
Everything's up for pre-order. So ebook, audiobook, and
You
print.
mean I can't get a hardback in an ebook?
You can get both.
Think about that for just a minute. I would be that guy that would ask that question. You know, it's an ebook. Can I get that in paperback or hardback? Yeah, I'm going to leave that alone. So it's called Moon Called. If you haven't had a chance to jump into that yet, and join the Mercyverse by all means. Guys, it's fall. It's autumn. What big plans do you guys have, Linda, for getting through?
I'm actually listening to the graphic audio books of the Mercyverse, which is a full cast retelling. Well, not retelling, I guess, but yeah.
Retelling. No, it's
Adaptation.
Yeah.
But it's like my first foray into ebooks. I've never really been able to like listen to them. I always lose attention, but I find the graphic audio ones are compelling, so I've started with those.
I love audiobooks. I love both formats. I love the graphic audio, which at the moment I'm listening to quite a few, and I'm going back and listening again to the Alona Andrew ones. It's amazing. Like the graphic audio adaptations are really well done. I really, really like it. I also like the normal narration, which Laura Liking and Halter Graham have done a really amazing job.
They're excellent.
So
Excellent. I have not been out on my early morning walks. I hurt myself here a while back and haven't been able to get out and do my audiobooks in the morning, so I'm a little behind on the series, but I am going to be working on that now that the temperatures are cooling off and I can get a chance to get back out again. I am looking forward to that. Where are you at, Linda? Where have you gotten to with those audiobooks?
I'm just ending Moon Cult. I mean, I just started.
Oh, okay.
Like literally,
Okay.
I've just started.
I just want to note that Night Broken is up for pre-order right now. I think on Audible as well. I think that comes out in October as well. I'm not sure. I need to check. But yeah, and then hopefully the rest of the series will be picked up, and hopefully the Alpha and Omega series as well, because I think it's doing pretty well. So crossing fingers, it should be.
All right. With that, I think we've come to the end of another Pack podcast, and it has been an awful lot of fun. Good comments here. Good. You guys can call me out anytime. You know, if I don't like Adam.
Don't worry.
It's I know. You guys. You keep me honest here.
No, Adam gets a lot of flack, and I'm like, you know what? He's a guy. You know, they make mistakes. It's normal. You know, it's relatable, and I think and I think Mercy likes it when she has an argument with him. You know, so when he messes up, they get on.
Hasna, I can mute your microphone.
Oh.
Sure.
All right, everybody. Linda, Hasna, have a wonderful October, and we will see everybody on the other side. It's the Pack Podcast.
Take care, all.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
The shadows are stirring, and our time together has drawn to a close, at least for now. But the Pack is never far away. When the moon rises again, we'll be here waiting. Thanks for running with the Pack. The Pack Podcast is a Grail Productions show. Copyright 2025, Hearog Incorporated. All rights reserved.